So let's jump into question number 2. What are the most common behavioral indicators of selective mutism in different settings, and how does the condition typically manifest itself differently at home versus at school?
I would say that a child's functioning at home is their baseline. It's like what they're capable of. However, there's never an easy answer to this because we have a percentage of families that present where a child was verbal, perhaps, and is now not verbal at home, either with both parents, family, one parent. So that's not common, but we see it. And these children become what we call pervasively mute, where they're not speaking perhaps in all settings, but they were speaking at one point, and you have to kind of figure out and deal with what may have caused that. So I need to put that off on the side because that's not the typical presentation, but we see it. So how a child communicates, engages, functions in the home environment is usually the safest place, the place that they're functioning the most and their capability. If a child has an underlying, let's say, speech and language, 30-40% of individuals with SM, they will have that challenge at home. We will see them have difficulty in the home environment. So what's interesting, even learning and processing difficulties, ADHD, other processing issues, neurodivergence ADHD, autism spectrum disorder, you will see these symptoms in the home environment. So very often, the home environment is a window into the whys, because a child that has these other whys will have them at home. Where what you don't often see at home in a safe place, where is their extreme shyness, because they're comfortable at home. You don't tend to see that at home very much. The child may be almost outgoing in the home environment. It's when they come out and about in a social setting. So the typical dictionary case of a shy child that's timid, that gets overwhelmed in a setting such as stores, restaurants, public settings, they usually get overwhelmed in the louder, larger, lots of people places. What will happen is they may walk around with their parent or their sibling. They may talk to their parent or sibling, but the minute somebody else engages them, a store clerk, a waiter, a waitress, a coach on a soccer team, a parent, a friend's parent, an extended relative they haven't seen, the child will often disengage. So what that appearance would be is they may be, the way I look at it, it's almost like the glass house phenomenon. The glass house phenomenon is the child is walking around in their glass house. They're walking in let's give this store as an example. Most people do go to a store unless they're like me and order Instacart all the time. But they're walking around a store in their glass house. They're walking around. Mom, I want the Apple Jacks up there. Or Mom, let's go and get that over there. Friends, I want to get that art activity. And they're talking to their parent. All of a sudden, a store clerk comes up and says, hey, can I help you? And the child gets a blank look. They will just kind of get a deer in the headlight look and look towards their parent. And they'll just kind of shut down and maybe turn away. That's almost like a typical young child, elementary age child, or they will ignore that person. So many individuals with SM will go to a stage 0 even when they were talking with their parent or siblings. So what parents need to look out for is, what is your child like when others who they don't know well engage them, who question them? This is why when we're working through treatment, we're helping with social engagement via handover takeover, front line, going during off hours, quieter, less people are around, smaller environments, playing different games, doing different goals for older kids, preparing common questions, using visuals, hearing choices to minimize the need to think and process. I can go on and on with 1,000,010 strategies that we will use for many individuals with selective mutism. It's how you use it. So what parents need to look for is what I just described. Some families will tell me, someone will ask a question and they'll naturally turn to the parent and give the answer without any prompting. That's a verbal intermediary. For kids that aren't engaging, we may use that verbal intermediary in a very strategic way. Some kids are very stuck. No matter how comfortable they get, they look like professional mimes. We may use other strategies that we add into treatment. Sounds to words, ritual sound approach. It's knowing what stages those children or teens are at to begin to think about what strategies would work best with those individuals, taking into account their whys. Teachers need to see a child that is engaging in class or not engaging. The child may look comfortable, perhaps, but they're not interacting. They're not engaging with peers. Maybe they have one peer they're comfortable with, perhaps through outside get-togethers, and they're with that peer in class. And of course, there's 1,000,010 accommodations, interventions that we can put into place. The buddy process. How do you work the buddy process? Small groups. How do you work small groups? How do you develop a 504 or an IEP? That's the individual nature. But what teachers need to think about, how is this child functioning in your classroom? Are they functioning academically? Are they functioning socially? Are they functioning emotionally? And how are they communicating? What stage are they communicating? Are they mute in the classroom, with peers one-on-one, with teachers one-on-one, in small groups, in large groups? To capture a lot of this information, we have teachers fill out something called the Selective Mutism School Evaluation Form. For parents, we have them go through something called the Selective Mutism Evaluation, where we will screen for the whys. We will assess their baseline stages. We will begin to see what strategies work best for progression during that evaluation to set us up for their treatment, to know how to begin treatment. Because it's not just, oh, a child that's not speaking, extreme shyness. Let's do whatever we can to get them to talk. That approach is wrong. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's wrong. You need to understand that individual, because if you don't meet them where they're at to start the process, you will lose them. They will become more avoidant. They'll become more anxious, and it's going to lead to frustration all around for parents, for teachers, and for that child or teen. So we have to meet them where they're at and then move. It doesn't mean they have to be the most comfortable individual in the world to make progress. Absolutely not. The goals and games set up are somewhat challenging, but not too challenging that they can't accomplish it with the right teacher and parent facilitation.